Do the tough things first.
Ray Zinn now imparts his management philosophy in Tough Things First. Zinn covers the gamut from the essence of human happiness
Having value is key to human happiness.
to the downside of venture capital for entrepreneurs,
Venture capital can be the antithesis of entrepreneurial spirit.
the essence of entrepreneurial discipline.
An entrepreneur without determination is truly an oxymoron.
Ray Zinn, Silicon Valley's longest-serving CEO.
Welcome to another episode of the Tough Things First podcast, and today we have a special guest interviewer. And rather than a long introduction from me, let's dive right into today's lesson from Ray Zinn, the longest-serving CEO in Silicon Valley.
Good evening. It's my pleasure to have my grandson Mitchell Shaw with me this evening to do this little podcast. And so it's wonderful to have you here with us tonight, Mitchell. Thank you for joining me and being willing to do this interview with your grandpa. So first of all, tell us a little bit about yourself, Mitchell.
Yeah, well, it's good to be here, Grandpa. I really appreciate you having me here today. And a little bit about me. My background is my educational background is a bachelor's degree in economics. I have a master's of business administration from the University of Texas at San Antonio. Just about a year ago, started a job at Qualtrics, which is a software company here in Provo, out in Provo, Utah, and am out here in California to call on some clients.
So let's talk about some of the things on your mind. Tell us about what would you like to know from Grandpa?
Well, Grandpa, that's a tough question to ask because I know you've got so much knowledge and experience up there. But I'll talk about some things that are top of mind given my visit to San Francisco this week. So, Grandpa, I've been immersed kind of deeply in this culture of very much rapid growth. You can see it all across the city, people moving fast. And I'm kind of curious, what would you say to a company that maybe is getting caught up in all of the fastness and the growth that's going on out here in the Bay Area, is maybe thinking more about the top line revenue growth than bottom line? Maybe they've to the detriment of profit, have decided to get caught up in this growth. What would you say to someone who's contemplating that shift?
Well, that sounds like a VC-funded type of a company, because it's those kind of companies that are focusing to get the VCs out quickly. VCs have a horizon of about 5 to 7 years, and in that time period, they want you to get to the company to the point to either be sold, either through a merger or through an IPO, but certainly they want to get out in that 5 to 7 year time frame. So they're going to focus you on grow, and of course that could affect the culture of the company if you want it to be long lasting. So if you want a company to be enduring like my company, Microl, was for 37 years, you have to establish a culture early on. It's not something you can just say, well, after 5 or 7 years, now let's create a new culture focusing on the bottom line. So again, the focus has to be at the very beginning, focusing on the bottom line as well as the top line.
So you'd say it's not as simple a transition as people make it out to be, where transitioning from a growth culture to a investor return net income focus.
That's right, because again, focusing on the bottom line, it takes a different kind of culture and focus by the employees, the kind of people you hire, compared to those who are going to have this hyper-growth view of running a company.
Well, Grandpa, what would you say to someone who, maybe there's some entrepreneurs listening out there who have nailed it at a very small scale? So perhaps they've built a profitable model. Maybe they've had these principles in mind from the start of net income, of profit, of return to themselves. But now they're looking to their left, they're looking to the right, and they're seeing people scale dramatically fast. And of course, to do that requires outside investment. What would you say to someone who feels like they have a proven idea and they've got the hunger and the thirst and the desire to grow, but have not yet taken external funding? Is it possible to grow and scale your idea without caving to some outside investment?
Sure, that's what I did at Microl. We started in 1978, and we were profitable every year. And so you can absolutely do it on your own. The difference is that you have to be patient, because to be profitable from the beginning means that you have to have a different model, and you have to have a model that will work with that sort of scheme. Companies that want to grow in today's industry, where there's a focus on these software unicorns, where they've had really fantastic growth, like Facebook or LinkedIn, Twitter. That is not a very enduring, even though they've been very successful, that is not a very enduring type of culture. So yes, it can be done, but you have to be patient.
What about team players? This culture, this idea that you built at Micrel of bottom line focus in an area where the focus was anything but here in Silicon Valley at times. How did you filter for that as you brought people on board at Micrel?
Well, they have to buy into your vision. It's all about vision. It's all about how you view the company, and you have to sell them on that. In today's millennial generation, they are been conned into believing that the only way you can be successful is to just grow. And so you have to be careful about the kind of people you want to hire. They have to have your vision.
Let's say someone applies for a job to work for you, and they've come from one of these hyper-growth, fireworks, unicorn-style companies. What kinds of questions would you ask to kind of dig at their culture compatibility?
Well, we'd ask them about what their view is. What do they want to get out of life? Are they focused on financial and for their own particular benefit, or are they here to provide for their families? You'd ask them difficult questions. What is your focus? Where do you view yourself in 10 years? And that'll kind of give you an idea of how their culture might fit yours.
Yeah, you're asking some very deep questions as opposed to something superficial.
Exactly.
And I think that's a core component of culture, is that it comes from within and radiates outward. So, wow, we've covered a lot of things here. Growth, venture capital, how to hire and screen for culture, and I think I've learned a lot.
Well, thanks, Mitch. I really appreciate you joining me tonight.
You can tell that Ray's 37 years of leading the most consistently profitable company in the semiconductor industry is encouraging the next generation of entrepreneurs. I see that when I visit Draper University and I talk to the local hackers and founders groups and exchange email with people across the globe. Do connect with Ray yourself via Twitter, LinkedIn, and Facebook. Ray's social media contact points can be found on the contact page at toughthingsfirst.com. And by all means, if you have not already, subscribe to the Tough Things First podcast via iTunes, Podcast Addict, Google Music Play, and all the other popular podcast apps.